Good evening and welcome to another edition of Jay's Retro Toys and Games. Episode 48 is upon us on this February 15th, 2023, Wednesday night. We're looking at a toy that's probably been around as long as, probably our fathers have probably been around. And given the fact that they've been in the history books for pretty much the amount of time, going all the way back to 1938. Yes, toy soldiers that are about 5 centimeters tall and most commonly molded from olive green, relatively unbreakable plastic. And unlike the more expensive ones available in hobby shops, these are sold at low prices in discount stores and supermarkets in bulk packaging. They're traditionally green and almost always dressed in modern military uniforms and armed with 20th century weapons. The jumbo ones are a little less common secondary scale with a 4.75 inch and the soldiers made with the same process. Usually sometimes you see these toys with the green, olive green ones and then the navy ones. That would be like you could fight them against each other. What are we talking about? Army Men, going all the way back to 1938, tonight on Jay's Retro Toys and Games. All right, welcome to the show, and hope that you had a good weekend and everything is going smoothly in your journey with our show of Jay's Retro Toys and Games. Episode 48 is upon us. We're ready for tonight's look at this toy called Army Men. You know, the plastic Army Men, they are sold in plastic bags or buckets. They often include different colors such as green, tan, or gray to represent opposing sides. And they are equipped with a variety of weapons, typically from World War II to the current era, often depicting the 1964 Vietnam-era M16 rifle with a fixed M7 bayonet. Now, these include rifles, machine guns, submachine guns, sniper rifles, pistols, grenades, flamethrowers, mortars, and bazookas. They may also have radio men, binocular scouts, and minesweepers. The traditional helmets are the older M1 steel pot style that were issued to U.S. soldiers during the mid to late 20th century. Typical accoutrements depicted are often 1960s era M1911 style pistols, ammunition pouches, and water canteens. Army Men are sometimes packaged with additional accessories including tanks. They are often based on the M48 Patton tank, jeeps, armored hovercraft, half-tracks, artillery, flags, army trucks, helicopters, fighter jets, landing craft, and fortifications. And their vehicles are usually manufactured in a smaller scale to save on production and packaging costs. Army Men are considered toys and not models, and as such, historical and chronological accuracy are generally not a priority. So the first American plastic toy soldiers were made by Bergen Toy and Novelty Company, that's Benton for short, in 1938. Now, Benton also acquired the molds of another pre-war plastic figure company, Universal Plastics, with their figures remaining for sale when lead toy production was stopped in 1942. The Benton figures were painted like metal figurines and sold the same as their metal brethren. Now, individually or in a box set of around 7 figures. Following World War II, Benton modified their figures in an attempt to change the World War I type helmet into the World War II one. Following World War II, plastic manufacture was seen as an industry with growth potential, with many old and new companies making plastic figures that were widely available in the United States. Army men following the war were sold unpainted, usually in a green color corresponding to United States Army uniforms in World War II. Then beginning in the early 1950s, Lewis Marks and Company sold box sets of figures and accessories called playsets, such as U.S. Army Training Center and the latter Battleground sets. A rival manufacturer, the Multiple Plastics Corporation, or the MPC, also sold plastic figures in various colors with different separate accessories, so the same figures could be kitted out as soldiers, the green, farmers, pioneers, or cowboys, brown, the policemen were blue, ski troopers white, spacemen, various colors, or American Civil War soldiers in blue and gray. The economy of plastics sold in bulk, popularity of Army men, and competition with manufacturers led to Army men being sold in large bags by Marks, Timmy Toys, and MPC for as little as a penny apiece in the mid-60s. During this time, Marks gave the American Army men actual enemy soldiers to fight, such as German soldiers, molded in gray, in their 1962 Army Combat set, and Japanese soldiers, molded in yellow, in their Iwo Jima set that was released in 1963. In 1965, a D-Day Marks set featured allies such as French, the Horizon Blue, British Khaki, and the Russians. And one of their last and largest playsets was the multi-level Fortress Navarone Mountain set based on the Guns of Navarone, which was available in the 70s and pitted World War II Americans against the Germans. During the Vietnam War, sales and availability of military toys began to decline alongside the unpopularity of the war, and the higher prices of plastic from the 1973 oil crisis as well. But since 1975, many manufacturers of plastic soldiers in Europe and U.S. closed. For example, John Hill and Company, Reemsa, Louis Marks and Company, and Dinky Toys. Today, most Army men are made inexpensively in China and do not include the extensive accessories that were common in Marks playsets. They are also smaller on average, often not much more than 2.5 centimeters high, about 1 inch. And most of these figures are generic imitations of model figures sets from such companies as Airfix and Matchbox. They vary widely in quality. In addition to Army men, other inexpensive plastic toy figures are also commonly available. Toy cowboys and Indians, farm sets, spacemen, knights, dinosaurs, firemen, police officers, and other playsets are often sold alongside the Army men. In September of 2019, BMC Toys, a maker of Army men, announced that Army women would be sold in 2020. And this announcement was made due to popular requests from female veterans and toy fans. The most well-known request is from a 6-year-old girl who sent a handwritten letter from them to be made. In 2011, Time magazine placed the Army men on their list of 100 most popular toys of all time. This cultural phenomenon was represented in Army Men, which was a popular series of video games introduced by 3DO in the 1990s. Green Army Men were also among the characters in the 1995 Disney Pixar animated film Toy Story and its 3 sequels. Gummy Army Men, Candy are also available. And because these toys do not cost much, they are virtually disposable. They encourage a variety of creative types of play because they can be set up in many different ways. They are especially well suited for the sandbox or simple war games with rubber balls or marbles, which can be rolled or thrown at Army men. You know, Army men have been banned from schools and daycare programs with zero-tolerance weapon policies. On one occasion, children were asked to clip the weapons off of plastic Army men on display during an elementary school graduation ceremony. And when Burger King released tie-in toys for the movie Toy Story, the Green Army men were not featured with weapons, but only the variations of leader, radio operator, minesweeper, and man with binoculars. An unusual use for Army men was attaching poems to them and scattering them around in a guerrilla poetry scheme. They have also been the exclusive, albeit stop-motion actors in a musical video featuring an instrumental track by the band Pink Martini. The 1972 Stephen King short story Battleground and a 2006 episode of Nightmares and Dreamscapes from the stories of Stephen King, based upon the short story, featured plastic army men who come alive with sinister intentions. In Witching and Bitching, which is a 2013 Spanish horror comedy film co-written and directed by Alex de la Iglesia, Mario Casas impersonates a thief disguised as Street Mine. Dressed as a Green Army man, his skin, helmet, and uniform are completely painted in the typical bright green color. In Heroes of the Storm, a multiplayer video game that was brought out in 2015 by Blizzard Entertainment, there are several hero skins with Green Army Men theme. More whimsical variations of Army Men toy soldiers are also available, including figures molded in yoga poses. Russian masked soldiers operating inside Ukraine during the 2014 annexation of Crimea by the Russian Federation became known as Little Green Men, in reference to the green plastic toy soldiers. And there you have it, friends. A look at Army Men going all the way back to 1938. Wow, what a history for a simple toy that's been around for a long time. Well, coming up on this Friday's edition of the Retro Toys and Games, we'll look at another toy. And let's see. Well, we looked at My Little Pony. Let's see. How about the Juju Pets? That's cool. It's going to be pretty interesting. The Juju Pets, brought out not too far. They've only been around since 2009, or they're known as Go-Go Pets. But Pipsqueak, the Juju hamster, was one of the main characters, who was put out by Russ Hornsby. So we'll look at that little cute Juju pet next time on Jay's Retro Toys and Games, on episode number 49. Coming up to the 50th episode of our show, and we thank you very much for being with us here tonight. We hope that you had a great time looking at Army Men, and as always, don't forget to always be honest, be real, and keep it simple, stupid. Kiss. We'll see you on Friday. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Don't forget to subscribe to the David Dyson Network for great more content like this one.